others have mentioned, I also agree that crime is not age-specific. I think that one of the key things that we can do in terms of reducing crime rate is really think about what are the root causes. We've already had jobs mentioned. But I think one of the things that we can do is we can increase ownership in our community. Some of these things that have been happening over the last little while, the Paint Prince Rupert campaign, these are things that develop pride in our community, that people are proud of, and people are less likely to commit things like vandalism if our community looks good, if our community is vibrant, if we have businesses that are in our community that are providing services to people. So I think that is one of the things that we can do. On the other flip side, we know that there's problems with our justice system. We need to get more judges into the court system, and we also need to be looking at alternative methods of justice like the restorative justice program, and even taking care of our infrastructure, because let's face it, we get more industry in by increasing our infrastructure.
Thank you. Mr. Municipal.
Can I just comment quickly that it's not actually the youth crime rate? That was never mentioned in the question. It was actually just to lower crime rate, to make it safe for families.
Thank you.
Ladies and gentlemen, the crime rate in Prince Rupert waxes and wanes. We know, though, in the last 3 years that there has been a reduction in the actual vandalism and break-and-enters in the downtown core. Prince Rupert City Council did get another RCMP member. We've got RCMP street patrols utilizing bicycles. That program was implemented 2 years ago with some success. We've had the development of Citizens on Patrol, and I appreciate the volunteers that come out and look after that. And we've had an increase in RCMP auxiliary members, and once again, I appreciate the people in the community that give up their time to do that. City Council can certainly go to the community at large. Other communities have a restorative justice program, and perhaps with the support of other parts of our community, we could also implement that. But really, crime is a problem. It's not going to go away, but certainly more opportunity for people, more community pride helps.
Thank you. Mr. Pearson.
I was thinking about youth the whole time, but thanks for that, Mary. We'll throw it back to just everyone. So our crime rate is somewhat high, and I'm a criminologist, and so when I heard this question I was quite excited. But the bottom line is education and prevention. We need to come together as a community, and I'll tell you right now that our crime rate is not only one person's problem, it's the entire community's problem. So if somebody is committing a crime, it makes Prince Rupert look bad. So we need to find solutions to work together to make more programs. And for one, we need to keep our programs open, just not just at 6 o'clock or 9 o'clock or 11 o'clock. We need to keep them open so the kids have a safe place to go, and for the people and families to go as well. We need more preventative programs for families. Why are they committing crime? Let's focus on that. Thanks.
Mr. Valley.
You know, like they say it's not just the youth, it's adults, but the youth is where it starts. And I think, you know, we need to give the youth more to do. And one thing I didn't see in this town, I moved here when I was 16, is sports. Not a lot of sports, not a lot of Little League. You know, when you have that, you know, my hometown originally was Port Alberni, and we competed with Nanaimo and Parksville, all these places, and there was so much pride with your teams. And, you know, we have that here. You know, I go to a lot of the villages, and I walk into these beautiful gyms that they have in Metlakatla and Kitkatla, and those kids in that gym, there's so much pride. You know, and it's a big thing for a kid to be able to work to get to that point. And, you know, it gives the kids something to do to keep them out of trouble. And that's what we need here. We need the kids to be proud of this town, to have something to work for when we have those ball games. Even if they're not on the teams, they go to the games and watch the games and proud of their city. And that would be a great start. Thanks.
Mr. Lewis.
Thank you. Crime in Prince Rupert. First of all, we've raised kids here already, and anything we can do to better it. I don't actually think that we're that bad. I think that we can be better. I think we need to find ways of freeing up our police. through administrative stuff, so they can actually go in amongst our community and be with our kids and be with our adults and make sure that everything is running well and is prosperous, rather than looking to get them in the system through charges and everything. Let's prevent them from getting there. We talked about youth. There's also adults who use youth to commit crimes, so that's definitely a problem too as well. We need to address all of them unilaterally right across the board and have our people out there in the streets and saying, listen, there's a better way to do this, then allow it and condone it. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rice.
Well, in my opinion, we hardly have any youth here, so there is no youth crime problem. I think in the research that I've done in recent terms about learning about my city, our crime rate has been decreasing in recent times. I think we actually need to address the underlying issues of poverty, social injustice, and substance abuse. We have some of the highest per capita alcohol consumption rate in the entire province. A judge. Haven't we been missing one for I don't know how long? We can't even prosecute cases. I think things such as supporting Paint Prince Rupert, where we instill pride in our community. I love the street patrol, the cops on bikes. I think we actually just need to face the elephant in the room. We have an issue of poverty, social injustice, and substance abuse, not crime. Thanks.
Mr. McLean.
I honestly, when I look at Prince Rupert, don't see a huge crime rate. I recognize that crime is an issue for downtown. I realize that security of walking around town and feeling safe is something that we all want to do. But I'm not the person that can give you the solution or the answer. I think the community brings to it its own justice. Society creates its own morals and standards. And I would look to you to see what your demands are. I know if I applied my demands, sometimes a whip and a ball and a chain aren't enough. And sometimes I think that we should let people get away with it just because they're really good kids, going the wrong way. So I have a wide opinion. People who know me know that I'm no proponent of the Child Protection Act that the federal government has, because I believe it creates action without consequence and thereby raises a society of youth criminals. So I need your input. I don't have your answers.
Thank you. Mr. Kinney.
Thank you. I'm sitting listening to everybody, and I know what we have in Prince Rupert. There is some crime, and there's things that we have to start doing. But as far as the young ones and that are concerned, just take a look at the ones that have put us on the map, and the people that are teaching and having dance classes, having gymnastics and swimming and everything. We're very lucky there. And as far as the others are concerned, the ones that are with the narcotics, etc., we've got some empty damn schools. Why don't we turn them into some rehab centers so that people can have a chance?
Thank you. And for our next question, to Mr. Alan Hale.
What will you do to increase transparency and public engagement in council and city business? What will you do to increase transparency of city business? Is that going somewhere?
Me?
Oh yeah, or... Okay. What will you do to increase transparency and public engagement in city business? You can always use more. Get some balance from outside and bring them up. All right, how about this one? In the last election, there was a lot of talk about affordable housing. What should the city do about low income, for low income people in the city?
I just want to remind you, these questions are actually from the floor, so they're not our questions. You're more than, if you have more questions, you can pass them to us. Appreciate it.
Yeah, youth entrepreneur.
Yeah. This was another question. There's a couple on this concern in there as well. What are your thoughts on the limited time frame given to residents to do their recycling? Feel free to submit more questions.
Is that what we have?
A lot of them are repetitious.
Repetitious? Okay.
Some of them are statements, not questions. So
Okay, thank you. Well, it may be that we bring our evening to a close. Thank you.
How about this one? We'll try this one more.
Okay.
What do you think can be done for homeless men in Prince Rupert instead of staying in a hotel or a bar?
That's a good question.
Try one more.
What's wrong with that one?
This one is concerning the airport. There used to be paramedics and trained firemen on duty at the airport for emergency response in any situation.
It's a really good question.
And these paramedic and fire departments are no longer there. This is from a person who doesn't feel safe and wants to know, in your opinion, what you can do to reassure them as a senior that they will be safe when they travel by plane, especially for medical reasons through the Prince Rupert Airport.
Good question. Yeah, we'll keep that one.
Ms. Pearson.
See, now they're going to
Can you repeat the question, please?
the racial thing now, where they're not answering that question.
I'm lost. Okay, which question are we dealing with here?
We're dealing with the one that didn't get moved.
Can I take any of them?
It's in regards to the airport. There used to be paramedics and trained firemen on duty at the airport. There no longer is. This is from a senior in Rupert who wants to know what you're going to do to ensure that they're safe when they travel for medical reasons throughout the airport.
The airport or the airplane, because there's...
This is talking about the airport not having a fire department or paramedics, so when you're over on the island, there's nobody to assist you.
Okay, I'll be quite honest, I don't know a lot of information on this, but in regards to somebody that has the proper CPR training that is there, that should be a requirement for community members to feel safe going through the airport, because without it, it's really dangerous, especially people who are traveling, elders that are traveling, or people that are traveling to Vancouver to the hospitals. We need to have that care there, and honestly, I don't have much more information on that. Thank you.
Mr. Municipal.
Because of the number of employees at the airport, which is run by a separate corporation, it's actually the Prince Rupert Airport Authority, there are people that can provide basic first aid. It is very true that we do not have the services and facilities that the community had there in the past, and that's been a matter of costs. However, one thing and a way to get around it is to pursue continually the Simpson Access Project, which would reduce the ferry run from 22 minutes to 10 minutes, and perhaps we could do something jointly with the other communities to have an effective response there. I agree that it could be looked at and it should be improved, and certainly as the community grows, that would be a priority.
Thank you, Mr. Valley.
I think Mr. McLean will probably know more clear on this. My mother was an employee with Canadian Airlines, and at one time, they weren't allowed to leave till the plane left because they were first responders. It may have been futile, but they were first responders. I think the common sense is that there's someone out there with a level 3 first aid, at least that. Have a defibrillator out there. I don't know if there is one actually. I mean, we have them at the gym, I mean, the ice skating rink and that. So just common sense, make sure, I mean, there is airline employees out there, I mean, it's not expensive to get someone level 3 first aid. Yeah, there's probably benefit to them too, they'll get paid a little extra, but that's just a common sense answer. Thanks.
Thank you. Mr. Lewis.
Thank you. Cost inhibitive, those are the types of words that I really don't care to hear very much of. But a life is worth more than anything that can be prohibitive. And I, myself, if there was, you know, first responder, or actually real qualified people there that aren't first responders that have spent their lives saving lives, then I think we need to find some other creative ways of getting them back there on that island until we find a road or a bridge to go there. Thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Rice.
I'm just blown away by the question. I think it's an amazing question. I've learned so much tonight. I had no idea that this was even an issue. So again, I guess it's looking at prioritizing to see if we could even afford to have that. But I do think it's really important. Yeah, I don't know. I think I'm just still flabbergasted at the issue because I'm thinking of horrible, tragic scenes that would happen, that could possibly happen, and if we're ill-equipped, that would be hugely problematic. So I think I need to know more research. I mean, someone's got to be trained out there. We can't be left in the dark like that. Thanks.
Thank you. I will warn the candidates that at the end of this question, we will provide you with 1 minute for a closing statement to the people gathered here at the PAC and joining us on Cable 10. Mr. McLean.
The short answer to your question is there is no assurance that anyone can give you that you're going to get proper, timely medical care or safety care at the airport at this time. I believe they sold their fire truck. I believe they're just operating with their staff. The staff's first aid qualifications are not available for public use unless they choose to do it as a Good Samaritan. If you want action out there, I believe you can ask for mutual agreements to be signed between the province. Perhaps the ambulance service might agree to go out there and spend time out there and wait for the aircraft to load and unload. The city itself, if it wants to provide a firefighter who's properly qualified to handle all medical conditions, requiring IVs and all that kind of thing, if the condition arises like we used to, they may do that, but again, as the mayor has said, it's at a cost. Anybody who says anything different than that is blowing smoke up your collective rear ends.
Mr. Kinney.
Thank you. We realize that there is a problem at our airport, and it's something as a council we have to work with, and as I said, we have to work with the government in order to get this straightened out, and it's very, very true, and it's very sad. But the one thing that I am upset about as a senior, and I'm sure a lot of you seniors out there are too, why in God's earth do we have to have our luggage dumped into a mud puddle, stand there and wait to pick it up out of the water when there is some buildings or something? Why doesn't our airline look after our luggage like they do anywhere else? That's all I have to say. Thank you.
Ms. Garland.
Thank you. The Transport Canada Act, I think, changed the law that we don't have more aircraft coming in, so we don't require a fire truck. That was the information I got. As far as first aid, I would assume that there's somebody who would have trained in first aid, but that's an assumption of mine. So it is a concern, and I think it's something the council needs to look at and see what we can do about it.
Thank you. Ms. Ashley.
Well, I, like a lot of the other candidates, was kind of surprised at this question. I honestly did not know that there were those kinds of safety concerns at the airport, so I think it is something that needs to be looked at. But being somebody that believes in making informed decisions and giving informed answers, it would be hard for me without gathering more information to actually give you an answer to this question. What I know, though, is that anything that we would do out there in terms of providing fire services or ambulance services is going to mean a cost. Doesn't mean that we aren't willing to pay that cost, but we need to know what our priorities are, and it needs to be just figured out amongst our community. So it's important that we have those services, but I would need to do more research in order to actually give you an actual answer. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Kirk.
Well, boy, that is a real difficult question. I wasn't aware that we had a problem over at the airport. I think that we should go to the proper agencies to see what they can do to help us administrate or whatever, get the proper people that at a cost that is reasonable. We can't keep going, paying out. We only have so much in our tax budget to deal with. So yes, we have to care about how people can get, how would you say, if they're ill and something happens, how do we accomplish and give the proper service? If we're aware of that proper service, then it's there. But excuse me, I wasn't aware there was a problem, and now I know, and I'm quite sure that there are governments that will look into it. It's a surprise question to me. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Bedard.
The proper authority is the Prince Rupert Airport Authority. And I think that if you're looking at the role of City Council in this, it is to take your concerns and relay them to the authority so they can take action. I know that they are also looking at having a better rampway for wheelchair challenge for people. And so I think that they are looking at the lack of service in regards to persons with disabilities, and they're looking at what needs to be there. But I think that the council needs to provide that information to the authorities so they can take action. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Ms. Moore.
I just want to say that it's been proof that we have a lack of communication with the public, because not everybody knows all the information with regards to what's happening within our city. And this is a prime example of that. I want to be able to have an open dialogue and find out more information. What's affecting our citizens here? How can we improve that? Where do we need to? Yes, there's going to be costs, but we've got to look at the whole picture. And airport and transportation, especially for ambulance, I mean, those are some of the things that I have questions about. But until I'm there, and your voice with regards to saying the public, we need to hear. The people need to know the information, not just a few, but everybody should have access to all of the information. Thank you.
Mr. Holmes.
The sad truth is that the federal government unloaded this airport on us and didn't give us any money to run it. I don't think so anyway. Maybe give us a small grant. And the sad truth is that senior levels of government have left the towns and cities across Canada, across North America, on their own to pay for their infrastructure and their needs. It is scary, the risk we take by not having fire protection out there. But what happens when you have no revenues, your money's tight, you start taking risks. You start not paying your home insurance for 1 year. And that's the quandary we're in. We need to have more revenues to get a fire truck out there. Of course we need to lobby all governments like every other town in North America have to. But maybe things like the airport, lack of fire protection, maybe we should embarrass the senior levels of government.
Ms. Thorkelson.
I guess I'm going to just speak about why we don't have fire service and paramedic service out at the airport. I remember when I was much younger, there was a big debate about deregulation and about making sure that we can fly the skies for cheaper. I remember when it cost $700
for the cheap ticket to fly to Vancouver. And I appreciate the lower airfare. But what has happened is that the provincial government, at the same time as they deregulated the skies, they passed on the cost of running provincial and federal airports to municipalities. And so therefore, all of a sudden, it became our responsibility to provide services such as fire and paramedic service. And that's what happens with deregulation.
Thank you. We'll now go to concluding statements from each of our candidates. We'll offer them 1 minute each to present themselves, and we'll go in the reverse order to our opening statements. So first to the microphone, Ms. Ashley.
I would like to, I guess, give you a bit of a brief picture of my platform. I'm committed to rethinking the way that we do things, replacing our aging infrastructure, and rejuvenating our local economy. That means that we need to engage our community, stay true to the spirit of the community charter, and have less closed meetings, more information sharing, more opportunities for public input, a more open budget process, infrastructure workshops so you guys actually are on the same page as everyone on council, and a better communication network for two-way communication between council and citizens. We need to focus on your priorities, and we need to listen to you as we move forward, as we make decisions on your behalf. A vote for me means a vote for your voice on council. Thank you.
Mr. Kinney.
Thank you. I've gained much in the years that I have been on council, and I thank every one of you for voting me in. I'm committed and dedicated to listening to you and taking your concerns back to council. Some people think I don't say enough, but I do a lot of damn thinking. And when I do my vote, it's on what I've been hearing and think about. I'm very concerned with my seniors because, you know, we don't want them to move away, because for every 100 seniors we have in this city, we get 3.5 million a year of their money. And that's a big income for our city. And I will back you, and I want you to know that I'm approachable, and I'll listen, and most of all, I'm affordable. Thank you.
Mr. Holmes.
I think the issues are infrastructure and maintaining a balance between business and industry interests, between that and people who want to have zero impact of business, because business does have an impact, and we're going to have that dialogue, but we're going to have a discussion between well-informed people. Ladies and gentlemen, I will bring to City Council independent, well-informed decision-making. As I said earlier, I'm not supporting, though I would welcome their support, of any special interest groups, but I'm not supported by them. So I won't be beholden to environmental groups, political groups, union groups, cultural groups, business groups. I intend to represent the people of Prince Rupert. Thank you very much.
Mr. McLean.
I'd just like to use my minute to thank you all for showing up. I know it's been a long night, and I want to thank our sponsors, our moderator, our wonderful media people, even though they said not to tick them off tonight. I think this is all about you guys. I know that I can stand in there for you guys. I hope I've answered your questions. I know that I lose some popularity with some people because I tend to be direct and honest. I don't like to pull punches, and I don't like to play games. This city needs a forward-looking council. I hope 100% of you turn out and vote and get the council that you deserve. So thank you for coming out, and thank you for listening to me.
Ms. Rice. Oh, sorry. Ms. Bedard.
I thought he was saving the best for last. I'm an experienced in municipal government. I'm a businesswoman. I started the Ice House Gallery with Lynn Hill, a good friend of mine who has passed. I'm the executive director of Hecka Strait that brings $2 million in funding to this community. I will work with you to hear you with respect. I will work with council to create a team. I always believe in this community. I see great things in the future. And that's why I've spent 15 years working for you. I continue and I dedicate myself for 3 more years as your representative, as your mayor, with your support. Thank you very much.
Ms. Rice. No. Bill's in the mail.
VoteGenRice.com, I gotta get it in there. I intend to be both accessible and approachable to the community so that they may feel comfortable bringing issues to my attention at any time if elected on November 19th. I will work to ensure that briefings made to the community regarding council business are transparent and in a language that's easy to understand. As councillor, I work very hard to create creative ways to involve the community in agreeing to a common community vision that can guide current and future councils. I intend to fairly consider our natural environment when making decisions that will affect us all and for future generations. A healthy environment supports a sustainable economy and a healthy community. Thank you. If I have time, votegenrice.com one more time.
Ms. Thorkelson.
I have, I hope, established a reputation of being honest and straightforward and trustworthy on council matters. I always try to listen to what everybody else on council has to say and measure it against my background and always try to think of what the smallest person in town would feel about the answer to that question. I try to bring balance in my perspective to City Council, and I have tried to ensure that I am open to learning about things that I don't know about and about other organizations and other sectors of Prince Rupert, what their feelings are too, so that I can try to weigh both sides.